Segment 2, Gold and Black Live. Matt Painter, Brian Newbert, and I guess I'll say myself, Alan Karpick, and we're glad to have the coach with us. We want to thank our sponsors, Triple X, on the hill but on the level, a Purdue tradition since 1929. Matt Painter's been a Purdue tradition since 1989. When did you sign? 88?
89.
89, okay. Yeah. And of course, Hilton Garden Inn, when tomorrow's a big day, stayed HDI tonight. John Basham and the good folks at Basham Rentals. Coach Painter gets to look across the way at John during the course of the game. Not that he focuses on that very often.
I see him.
You see him, though?
I see him, yeah.
I'm sure you do. And then, of course, our friends, like I said, with all of our sponsors that have been so good to us over the years, State Farm agent Trent Johnson, and we all see Trent a lot at Purdue Sporting Events. Coach, we're glad you're here under the shadow of John Wooden. What is John Wooden? You know, you're a great one for coaching philosophy and trying to build on tradition, but right. What is your daily takeaway from the life of John Wooden?
Well, I think our takeaway as Purdue is keeping him, going in sports mind as a player. I think that gets lost. Obviously, It's many, many years ago, but that gets lost, is the fact that he was a great player. He was a 3-time All-American. And I think having this statue, cause people don't walk on UCLA's campus and say, hey, I didn't know John Wooden was the coach here. Yeah. Everybody knows that. Yeah. But there are still some people that didn't realize that John Wooden, played basketball at Purdue and, got his start in coaching, in the state of Indiana, whether that's high school or whether that's college. He got his start in the state of Indiana, and that's so important. And then the one thing that happens a lot when we travel and we get outside of the Midwest, or you get, somewhere across the country or even in the world, is people don't know Purdue's in Indiana.
Yeah.
And so getting to that point, they're going, oh man, you guys are great. Are you guys an Ivy League school? Because we have such a great academic school. And then when you start talking about the tradition of basketball and you start talking about all the great players, he gets left out because it's so long ago. And so I think that's an important piece for us to kind of keep that kindling going, is the fact that he was a 3-time All-American here.
Yeah.
It's important wherever you are to embrace your history. As part of the importance of John Wooden, but also the importance of Rick Mount too. Right. I mean, you guys have gone to some lengths here to get Rick back in the fold.
Right.
How does that benefit a program for the history to be part of the present?
Yeah, well, I think with Rick, I think he's always been in the fold, even though he hasn't come back. He's always the guy who's followed Purdue basketball. Right. If you start talking Purdue basketball, not just when he played, but he chimes in. He knows Purdue basketball. He watches. He cares. He roots for Purdue. So that's been great for us. Getting him back and having Rick Mount Day, being able to get that sign up, there on I-65 and everybody seeing it, and then throwing out the statement about the world's greatest shooter.
Yeah.
It's just like,
why not?
That's an argument. Like, people could argue Ted Williams isn't the world's greatest hitter, but you also could argue for that. Mm-hmm. I know this when I got recruited and I talked to a lot of different people, but the people that grew up in the 60s and the early part of the 70s, they would swear that's an accurate statement.
Yeah, I heard Jimmy Rail already has complained about it. I never saw Jimmy Rail play. I did see Rick play a lot, and never seen one better. Matt Painter was close, maybe not that close. Were you close at all as a shooter?
No.
See, he fell asleep on us. I was trying to give a joke.
Well, you said something crazy.
You
said something crazy. So that there's no comparison. But Jimmy Rail is the type, of a college player that could go and argue that, because he was such a good shooter. And then, obviously when you deal with, a lot of guys throughout our state, that's what Indiana's known for. Obviously we've had great players: Oscar Robertson, George McGinnis, Larry Bird. The beat goes on. But the guys that have been really, really good in terms of shooting the basketball, I think especially in recruiting, you can come to Indiana and get some guys that can knock down shots.
Yeah.
Smooth segue here. All your guards can shoot. I know you talked about maybe having more offensive skill on the floor.
Right.
How can your team this year be better offensively than maybe it was last year?
I think we have a chance to be just an excellent decision-making team more than anything, and not just our guards. I think Swanigan, Vince Edwards, both of those guys have a high basketball IQ. They see things. They know what's going on. They have experience. So just putting guys out there, whether they're playing the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. Isaac's obviously a guy that stays at the rim a lot, and rightfully so, but we can put a lot of people around them. I've always talked about Smotherman. Even though he's not known for his outside shooting, he makes for good offense. He moves the basketball, he's fast, he understands things. So we got a high basketball IQ, and I think that's how we're going to be better than we've been in the past offensively. But just being efficient. I think we have a chance to have a low turnover number, and shoot a really good percentage, be good free throw percentages, have good free throw percentages. So I think just all around we have a chance to have a special team.
You mentioned the 2011-2012 team. That team didn't have near the size this one does, but do you see some intangible similarities in terms of their cognitive ability?
No question about it. I see more, to be frank with you, just because when you look at our point guard slot, you look at P.J. Thompson and Spike Albrecht, you don't lose a whole lot. You got two guys that understand how to play. They can make shots. They can get others involved. When you throw Dakota and Ryan in there, both those guys understand the game. They can shoot to 25 feet. Vince Edwards and his versatility. I already talked about Basil. I already talked about Boogie. So those guys in there across the board, and then kind of that denominator for us is we have somebody, I think, in Swanigan with his versatility at the 4 and 5, but we also have somebody just with his enormous size and Haas that he needs more attention than one guy.
Right.
And if everybody can dribble, pass, and shoot, share the basketball, and understand the game, you really put the defense in a tough spot.
Now that 2011-2012 team, as intelligent as it was offensively, had to come up with a completely new defensive identity.
Yes.
You're going through the same transition now. Where are you in that transition?
Well, I think
What do you see the outcome?
Well, I think we have better size than that team.
Yeah.
I think when you look at Haas and you look at Swanigan, they're not, guys that are going to block a lot of shots, but they're guys that are going to, clog up the lane, take up space, have a lot of experience, understand what's going on. When we go a little bit smaller, I think Smotherman and Edwards being able to switch on ball screens, I think that really helps us right there, because now they're on 1s and 2s, but you're not allowing yourself to get into rotations, which is hard for us because we're not going to get into a lot of 5-man rotations with that kind of size. We can get into 4-man rotations. When we go bigger, it's more 3 to 4-man rotation in terms of when we get behind plays. And so for us, I really like the fact that defensively, I think we're intelligent. We got a good team defensive unit. We might not have that shutdown guy like a Rafael Davis, or you might not have that rim protector like A.J. Hammonds. But I think when you're comparing it to that other team, I think we understand some things a little bit better. We got better size, and I think hopefully that can give us an advantage.
You've been around college basketball for 26 years. And as a coach for many of those years, how much does it, early on this time of year, it's almost like in kindergarten where people can predict, as a kindergartner what they're going to be like as a senior in high school. Is it predictable in terms of, do teams' personalities change from October to March, or do you really kind of know what you're dealing with and have to move forward with that right now?
Well, I think your personality, it kind of is what it is. You want to be able to grow as a team in terms of your maturity and your discipline and being accountable, and being able to do your job. I think that's going to be an important piece for us. The guy that I've kind of left out of this equation could be an X factor for us, and that's Carson Edwards. He's a guy that can do some things for us offensively and defensively, but yet he doesn't have the experience the other guys have, and that's life as a freshman. It's going through practices and constantly hearing your name and you think you're being picked on, but he's a guy that's going to play for us, and he can really do some special things with the basketball, and so that for us excites us also, because now he's adapted to us, and you kind of talked about it. We don't become him; he becomes us, and a lot of young guys don't understand that. Like, we don't become you. You become, Purdue basketball, and you form to how we do things. And so he's done a really good job for us. Was our second leading scorer on our Spain trip, and we're excited about that. But no, in terms of a team, you just want to keep moving forward, keep getting better, keep learning from wins. Just like we all learn from losses, but you want to be able to learn along the way and make some corrections even when you're winning games.
You don't have any returning seniors, but the guys you have all played a lot of basketball except for Carson. How does experience matter now? I keep hearing the word maturity that comes up with this team. Just how does that matter, and how does that relate to some of the situations that maybe you need to be better in than you were last year?
Well, I think it's experience of having success together. It's an experience with, I think being through tough times and learning from those tough times, but also of knowing how we play and being able to fit. I thought the summer was great for those guys. Just kind of coming back, Basil obviously not playing after redshirt, and Spike, transitioning from another school, and then Carson coming in fresh, as a freshman. So that experience is so important. But nothing beats experience of having success.
Yeah.
A lot of people says nothing beats experience. Well, experience and losing constantly isn't the experience that you want. We've had success. We've been to 2 tournaments. We put ourselves in position to win the first round both games. Obviously, we went into overtime and lost both those games. That's got to be able to put us on edge. It's got to be able to make our guys a little bit hungrier, because we have put ourselves in good positions. Not a great position, but in a good position. And now you got to hopefully learn from that. And we've also been relatively close, getting 2 third-place finishes out of 14 teams to a Big Ten race. And so we want to be a little bit better at everything we do. And a lot of times you want to, as a coach, you're like, okay, what do we have to change? You don't have to change anything. You got to be better at what you do. And it's a line Tony Dungy uses a lot, and it makes a lot of sense, because a lot of times coaches, we fly off the handle and say, hey, we got to change everything, when in reality we're doing a good job, but we got to tie up some loose ends. We did have some shortcomings in a couple areas last year, and we got to be better in those areas, but we're good in some other areas. We're still a really good rebounding team. We're still the best team at throwing the basketball inside and being efficient. We had some guys that can really, really shoot the basketball. We had a couple games where, that failed us a little bit, where we didn't shoot the ball well, but it's all capable guys that'll knock them down. Shooting comes and goes, especially perimeter shooting. So it's one of those things where you just got to stay focused and stay confident and keep doing what you're doing.
You're experienced enough as a coach and have built culture, and you've had, for the very vast majority of your time in West Lafayette, great culture. What was your message to your team after such a disappointing loss to Arkansas Little Rock, or when you have recruits that don't come or whatever? How do you keep that focus so that they don't get down or don't get down on themselves?
Yeah.
Even though you might personally think this may not be the happiest, but you got to move forward.
Well, I think with finishing the season the way we did, let's don't act like that didn't happen 4 or 5 times during the season.
Yeah.
We had 2 or 3 games where we saved our own bacon and still won those games, but it still happened.
Yeah.
And we still worked on those type of things and tried to improve on those type of things, but it was still a weakness with our team, and it came back to bite us. We did a great job of putting ourselves in a great position, and we got to get better. I think we've gotten better in our personnel in those areas and helping us, but we've also gotten better in improving ourselves in those areas also. So when things happen, the one thing you have to understand as a coach, you don't get judged on people you don't get.
Yeah.
You get judged on the ones you do get. So anytime you get in recruiting battles and you miss out on guys, it's very important you still get your guy the next time. I'd rather get nobody than go get somebody that's going to mess with our culture or not, understand what it's about to play at Purdue. And we've had that happen in the past, and it's hurt us. And now when you're always going to, I don't care where you're at, besides a couple schools, you're always going to lose on some battles sometimes. You just are. In this business, second place is like getting last.
Yeah.
And it's just part of it. But you have to be able, as a coach, to keep your composure, know where you are, and keep getting your type of guys. And I think that's what we've been able to do. And if you look at our team, 3-4 years ago, I didn't think we were a very smart basketball team. And if you look at our team now, I think that we are. And I think we're a very, very smart basketball team. And when you get to recruiting battles, you've won some of those and you've lost some of those, but we've still been able to put a team together of 10 scholarship guys, I think, that fit here. And we just got to keep doing that, because it's quick as a coach, and I've been guilty of this, to where now you're blinded maybe by the lack of a quickness in an area, or an athleticism in an area, or size in an area, and now you rush out and you take somebody, and now you get that quickness, you get that athleticism, but then he's not your type of guy. And that's how you take a step backwards, by having a knee-jerk reaction. You can't do that as a coach. You got to stay calm. And in today's world, there's a lot of guys that can't do that. It's a hard thing to do. And there's an old saying Coach Katie would use, and you listen to those people, you'll be sitting with those people. Yeah. And so it's you have to be strong in your convictions and understand what wins and loses.
Nothing more underrated than the ability to stay calm. Is that true?
No doubt. You just got to make good decisions. Yeah. And sometimes you make the right decision, and then you miss on maybe a guy or two in a stretch, and people are saying, hey, what's going on? It's like, hey, it's not the end of the world. You can still get quality people. We've all seen it happen where you miss on guys, and then you go get the next guy, and you're just as successful. No one was sitting here saying, when we signed Keaton Grant and Chris Kramer, and we were voted the 9th best recruiting class in the Big Ten, and then Keaton Grant ends up being the all-time winningest player, in school history when he graduates. I'll take that 9th place any day of the week. And I thought Chris Kramer fit here. I thought Keaton Grant fit here. I thought they were 2 really good players for us. But, we didn't have to beat a lot of people for those guys. They were good recruits, but they ended up being great players for us at Purdue.
Last question, Brian, go ahead.
Speaking of making good decisions, what do you see in this team? Because you talk all the time about how the more you worked on something,
right,
the worse it got in some cases. You talk a lot about you don't know anything about it as much about a team until they hit adversity. Last year it seemed like prosperity. Mm-hmm. Do you see anything intangible in this team that leads you to think that that's in the past?
Well, I think we've improved it. I think Spike Albrecht helps us, and really it's just handling a press. That's all it was. And everybody has something. 5 years ago we were a really good offensive team, and we were very efficient, and we were good on defense, but we weren't a very good rebounding team.
Right.
And that piece doesn't bother people as much, and it's maybe the most important thing in the game, and it just doesn't bother people much. But when you get pressed and you can't handle it, it bothers the common fan, and rightfully so, because it's not a schematic design that we're missing or whatever. It's guys just struggling with it. And the thing I think that we've done in the last couple years is tried to see our Achilles heel. Last year I thought going into the season playing ultimately big, we needed to face an athletic, fast, tough team in a scrimmage, and we did that in Dayton. Mm-hmm. And I thought that really helped us. This year, we've struggled against the press, so we've got West Virginia, maybe the best pressing team in the country, in a scrimmage. So you don't want to run from those type of things. You want to be able to address them, you want to be able to work on them, but there's some things that you can't do in practice that helps you get ready. Right. Because now we can't do what West Virginia does in practice with the press. So go face them. Go see if you've made strides. Go see where you have to make adjustments, maybe either with personnel or putting guys in different spots. And so I know our guys are eager to get out there and be able to do it, but that's not the only thing. You have to keep your focus on a lot of things in the game of basketball and really winning that possession more. But it was unfortunate for us because it wasn't something where it was a little bit of a personnel issue. And now I think with some changes that we've made and some additions and subtractions, we'll be better in that area. But I also think then, from a defensive standpoint, we got a couple, cogs in our system that were really good. Raphael Davis was really good defensively. Right. A.J. Hammonds was really good defensively. They helped us. Now we're different. I think that's way more of a concern of us adjusting to losing those guys and then playing a little different way defensively than dealing with the press. I really think Spike's going to help us in that regard. I think Carson Edwards' speed can help us. I think being smaller can help us against the press. There's no doubt about that. You have more people, you have more avenues to cut and be able to go get the basketball and bring the ball up the court.
All right, we can continue this conversation. We haven't even gotten into baseball yet in the Cubs, though. The coach has guaranteed that the streak will be over for the Cubs. No, he has not guaranteed that, but it's going to be interesting to see that. And we're going to let you go off to practice and work with your team. Thanks so much for your time today. We always enjoy it. You always enlighten us on some topic on and off the record. We appreciate that too. So we'll be back in segment 3, and here from Kyle Charters and Stacey Clarity as Purdue faces Illinois in the football game tomorrow afternoon in Champaign. We'll take a 2-minute break and be back on Gold and Black Live.